opportunity for residents to be a part of that. So I have 7:03, and what I'd like to do now is to get started, and we will begin with the state of the town. And then, as I say, any questions, write them in your chat function, and we can go from there. So again, good evening, and thank you for being here tonight. Let me start by saying that the state of our town is very strong and it is vibrant. Our commercial corridors are growing, our parks are expanding, and our community is reinvigorated. Our finances are stable and healthy, and the town's future is bright. Over the past year, we have been challenged by the pandemic like everybody has. It's forced us to hit pause on many of our 2020 initiatives, but we have always looked forward under my tenure as supervisor, and we've always presented a progressive and positive vision for this town. 2021 will be about us moving forward together and finishing the business we started last year while presenting new ideas to make our town even better, stronger, and more vibrant. I want to take a moment before we begin to acknowledge the incredible job that our workers and volunteers have done, each of whom have stayed on the job, worked under difficult circumstances, and continue to deliver the critical services to our residents. Their compassion and dedication is unmatched, and I am proud that I've had the opportunity to work with them each and every day. Our response to the COVID-19 crisis again showed how important it is to have a fully engaged supervisor available on the job, full-time, accountable, directly to the people, and ready to serve. Perhaps nowhere has that compassion and leadership been more obvious than the town's deep and unending support for our most vulnerable, our senior citizens. As a town, we rallied around them and launched multiple programs to ensure that they were safe and had access to food and other basic needs. We were among the first, in fact, the first town, to launch a food shopping program for our seniors to keep them safe and bring them their basic needs. This past spring, we raised over $13,000 from this community to make sure that we could deliver hot meals from small businesses to our seniors after their much-needed programs were otherwise put on hold because of the pandemic. We saw our compassion and our leadership in the assistance and support we provided our small businesses through the many programs to help them with promotions and marketing, regulatory relief, and financial resources. Through the pandemic, we also celebrated our town's 200th anniversary. We planted 200 trees across the town, we launched a virtual speaker series, and we created our own ice cream and beer brands, thanks to Stewart's and Wolf Hollow, respectively. And we christened a new town flag. We made significant investments in our park this year. They include when 3 area Rotary clubs, Glenville, Scotia, and Burnt Hills, all came together with Schenectady County and Schrader and Company in joining together to build the Bicentennial Pavilion in Indian Meadows Park next to the playground. We began the construction of a large pavilion in Melwick, and it will be completed with restrooms and concession stand to serve as the main hub for the park and will help to enhance our Oktoberfest celebration. And in Sanders Preserve, the Gower family generously donated 3 acres of land to the town to add to the preserve. It was a busy year in economic development as well. We oversaw construction of many commercial projects and added millions of dollars in new tax base. We opened a Starbucks and are bringing a Spectrum store right here in town center. We welcome small businesses to the town as well. 2 exciting examples of that are Maxon's, a new restaurant that reestablishes an existing restaurant use in the old Bayou Cafe, and a small business Pizza Works on Route 50 is just about complete on a new 7,000 square foot building immediately south of the location to deal with their expanding business. We added to our popular and growing town center. A Well Now urgent care has been added, is being built, and we are also working on an application for a brand new, much awaited, much anticipated Chipotle. Perhaps there is no better physical reminder of the progress that we have made as a town over the last 12 years than Town Center itself. When I began my administration, it was empty, dark, and offered our residents very little. Under my administration's economic development plans and efforts, we welcomed Target, Panera, Applebee's, Starbucks, Five Guys, and Aldi's, just to name a few. Our once vacant and dark corridor has become a vibrant place that businesses want to be and the residents are proud of. Overall, we added hundreds of jobs this year to the thousands that we created since 2010, and we greatly expanded our tax base, meeting an objective that I laid out 12 years ago this month when I first became supervisor, to shift the tax burden off our residents onto an expanding commercial base. And as I stated from the start, these national brands provide traffic generation and interest in our commercial corridors, and that acts as a catalyst for our small businesses too. It has been this administration's policy to attract a diverse mix of businesses and invest in amenities to help drive more people to our small businesses. The clock, the banners, the lights, and the sidewalks are all working to define Town Center and attract businesses and shoppers, and our small businesses are benefiting because of it. Through the pandemic, we made sure we made investments in our town sustainability programs as well. We placed electric vehicle charging stations on our town property. We worked with the county to get a large solar array constructed on the town's former landfill property. And once that's charged, not only will we be reducing our carbon footprint, we will be saving the taxpayers almost $60,000 per year, a savings of $1.5 million over the 25-year agreement. That's a reduction of nearly 25% of our energy spend. Also this past year, we completed a $500,000, 1,400 square foot addition to our senior center that will allow us to expand our senior programs. This addition was completed in partnership with Senator Tedisco and a grant he provided, and with help from our senior board. Also this year, we passed a new ethics law in the town of Glenville. This ethics law had bipartisan support, which clarifies potential conflicts from something called dual interest. Dual interest occurs between employees of the town and their respective employers, whether private or public, and prescribes a clear, fair, and consistent process for all. This was achieved after much public input, a lot of listening, and I'm proud to say much consensus building. Because of this, Glenville residents have stronger protections and everybody has clearer expectations. I'm also proud that we're able to complete a brand new dedicated training facility for our police department to ensure that they remain properly trained and to help make our police the professional department that they are today. And through it all, I crafted and proposed a budget that was unanimously passed by a bipartisan board without amendment that lowered the taxes in the village of Scotia, stayed well under the tax cap in the town of Glenville, cut our debt even further, and made critical investments in infrastructure and services. That's a result of professional, full-time management that has applied solid principles over 12 years to our budgeting process, and we are reaping huge benefits because of it. Due in large to the efforts of our leadership here in Glenville, we also had a huge win for the town taxpayers when, with the help of our county lawmakers, we finally won a greater and fairer share of the county sales tax revenue. Thankfully, the county relented to our long-fought, passionate argument that our communities deserve a fair share of the sales tax growth, and because of our leadership, we will finally begin to share that growth of our commercial base. The 2021 budget will be the 11th consecutive budget in which we have reduced the overall town debt load. Our philosophy of being judicious in the issuing of new debt and avoiding unnecessary borrowing has resulted in a reduction of the town debt load from $23.1 million in 2010, which I inherited, to $11 million by the end of 2021, a reduction of nearly 50%. Another key tenet that we followed since 2010 has been reducing the use of the town's fund balance, also known as our savings account. Under my administration, we reduced the town's use of the fund balance from about $1.4 million that I inherited 12 years ago to just about $300,000, a reduction of nearly 80%. Now, this doesn't sound like exciting news, I understand. But it is the necessary work that is needed to be done in order to make our investments that we have in this community. We resisted the call of some politicians who wish to squander these funds on operations or politically expedient reductions in the tax rate. If such policies were in fact enacted, we would not have been in the position to make the critical investments in our town, our community, and we would not have been prepared for the COVID-19 health crisis. Now we turn the page and the calendar to a new year with a new outlook and a new hope. However, we know that the impacts of the pandemic will linger long after the virus is under control. And now more than ever, we need that experience and leadership to guide our town through the challenges ahead. Let me start by telling you my focus this year will be in 4 key areas: sustainability, small business support, continued fiscal responsibility, and infrastructure development. First, sustainability. Our parks play a large role in providing recreational activity for our residents and our sports leagues. But they also provide an opportunity for us to be a more sustainable community. Our goal for parks include adding an inclusive playground for children of all abilities in Melwick Park. This year, we are committed to construct an 8,000 square foot playground, which will provide a variety of play opportunities for children of all abilities and allow them to play both socially and contemplatively in a safe environment. I'm happy to be working with Rotary, the county, and Kiwanis once again on this park project, and I thank them for all their support. As part of our efforts to connect our residents with more walking paths, we will seek to add a connection from the town and village neighborhoods below the avenue, Mohawk Avenue, to Melwick Park, and add a perimeter path around that park. Also in Melwick, we'll pursue our much-anticipated small boat launch along the river. And in Indian Meadows, we will work to build a seasonal stage to host more community events, complete road upgrades within the park, and in Anderson, we will need to demolish the structurally unsound barn, unfortunately, and evaluate the site for the much-awaited community gardens. Most exciting, perhaps, on Dutch Meadows, we plan on securing the 6-acre park for our veterans. In 2021, in cooperation with the Legacy Project, I will finally deliver our veterans a proper and respectful place to honor them and their service to our nation. This is an exciting opportunity for us in Glenville to host a Veterans Memorial Park on Dutch Meadows. It's part of a bigger development. It's something I negotiated with the developer 2 years ago, and it's going to happen this year. And part of our Veterans Recognition Program, in partnership with the Glenville Rotary and Mohawk Honda, we launched our Hometown Heroes program, where banners will be hung from our lights in town center in honor of our veterans. Operationally, the town is facing a great challenge to meet the needs of a growing park system and delivering new programming. It's imperative that we finally bring the attention to our parks that they deserve. To that end, I am proposing a new comprehensive program that will support the town's sustainability effort while continuing to support our great parks. I call it the Solar for Parks program. So, to understand this, there was once a time here in the town when we financed much of our work within the parks, not through property taxes, but through the subdivision recreational fee that was paid when single-family developments were built. The stark reality, however, is that 50% of our neighborhoods were built prior to 1979, and only 3% were built after 2010. So that means our funding source is drying up, and we need to address this issue as our parks continue to grow and the demand for services continue to climb. Now, some people would just ignore the issue, but we've been proactive here in the town of Glenville, and we are going to replace that revenue so we can protect our taxpayers. This program meets the challenge, and to protect the taxpayer from increased costs, I am proposing the Solar for Parks program, which will augment the subdivision rec fee, as I mentioned, and help us continue to fund the parks. With this program, we will attract hundreds of thousands of dollars into our park capital fund. We will create a stream of operational income through our solar pilots that will ensure that we can finally transition to a true parks department, while at the same time we will be increasing our energy production from a renewable and sustainable resource. This is a creative program that keeps the burden off the taxpayers, helps us build our parks, and continues our strong commitment to a more sustainable and climate-smart community. And lastly, in sustainability, building off our e-card chargers that the town installed last year across our properties at no cost to the town, I will propose a pilot program to test an e-vehicle fleet. We are pursuing grants to purchase electric vehicles for our park, Department of Public Works, and highway staff, and we will implement that this year. In economic development, there are two areas that I will focus on this year. First is the redevelopment of Freeman's Bridge Road, and second, the continued support of our small businesses. First, on Freeman's Bridge Road, our goal is to clean up, beautify, and attract. We started this by creating a new zone overlay district that will help set the stage for proper land use that is more friendly to small businesses. By the encouragement of the new zoning district, we hope to transition the corridor into a center for small businesses. The infrastructure of the corridor is about to see upgrades with a new rail crossing and resurface of the road reconditioning. And that is thanks to our town's advocacy and leadership. We will continue that advocacy to simplify the intersection at Thomas Corners through proposing a roundabout to move traffic more efficiently and safely through that complex intersection. A large part of the Freeman's Bridge Road revitalization is its cleanup. That process, as many of you know, began by the state years ago, but it is not complete. Our planning department will propose new methodology to clean up the contaminated land and finally get it ready for development. Second, walkability. And amenities attract retailers and restaurants. Just like in town center, walkability and amenities attract small businesses and national brands. A multi-use path will be installed on Freeman's Bridge Road this October, and that will connect the retail corridor to our riverfront, over to Schenectady, and also along the riverfront to Scotia. We will also look to add street lighting, benches, and other amenities to Freeman's Bridge Road that worked in town center. Lastly, attraction. Working with the Small Business Committee and our Economic Development team, we will more aggressively market available property on Freeman's Bridge Road and join the landowners in a coordinated approach to marketing opportunities. Now let me say, nobody was hit harder during this pandemic from an economic point of view than the small business owner. Whether on Freeman's Bridge Road or elsewhere in the town, they risk their savings, they risk their income, they risk their dreams to build this community. The small business owner built this town. They are the heart and soul of our community, and I'm committed to continue the great work of 2020 to support them. Therefore, this year, I'm proposing a formalized small business support and stabilization plan. Now, much of this work was done in 2020. We launched many programs to help them, but those were done on the fly. This 5-point plan will ensure that our small businesses are successful here in the town of Glenville. First, we will launch a formalized technical assistance program to help connect our small business owners to state and federal resources. Second, we will expand access to capital through our local development corporation by applying for grants to fund startups and expansions of existing small businesses. We need to attract new small businesses, but we also need to protect our existing small businesses. This past year, we did great work with our local development corporation, and the town had foresight years ago to set that local development corporation up using a grant provided by the federal government. Working with the LDC, we came up with a creative plan in 2020 to open more access to capital for our small businesses. We waived application fees, we reduced the application burden, provided 0% financing, and extended payment terms to deliver the much-needed relief to our small businesses. Third, we'll focus on job creation for small businesses by seeking grants through the Excelsior Job Program to support expansion of agricultural businesses. Fourth, we'll develop a small business liaison program. This will address a full range of issues facing small business owners. This program has two components. One, to improve our promotion and marketing efforts with the small businesses by launching a professional, dedicated website and developing marketing materials for our Discover Glenville initiative. Secondly, the program will work with the corridor stakeholders to develop comprehensive action plans to meet the unique needs and features of an area, of any particular area, while helping to advance the town's overall economic development goals. I'm asking a local small business owner, Cassie Walker, to head this up and coordinate the work between the community, the small businesses, and the town. And I know Cassie can get it done. And fifth, I will ease regulations on our small businesses by streamlining site plan approval process for our small businesses, for adjusting for outdoor sales and entertainment. And I'm preparing again to sign executive orders, as I did in 2020, to waive parking regulations, to waive any review fees, and temporary sign requirements. This 5-point plan is more than just focused on small business. It is only for small business. Since the advantage has gone to Walmart and Amazon and those others like them, they've flourished under this pandemic. The Glenville small business owner will know that this town is for them. This town will never stop fighting for them, and we will always support them. On finance, our goal here is to continue the hard work we started 12 years ago and to cut an additional $1 million in debt this year, on top of the debt we've cut already. We will replenish our capital reserves through the strong protection of our fund balance, and we will commit right now, I will commit to a 0% tax increase in the 2022 budget. We've got to this point through difficult but very smart economic and fiscal decisions regarding our budget. And I'm proud that we're in the position now to protect our taxpayers, even in a pandemic. Lastly, we will continue our important investments in the town's infrastructure. My plan this year is to continue the investments in our neighborhoods that we started years ago. First, we need to promote safety of our children walking to school, and we need to help promote the calming of traffic within our neighborhoods. I'm proud that my administration secured grants for 3 key areas, and we will now finally be able to deliver sidewalks in the 3 school districts. This year, we will construct a sidewalk along Broad Street for students of the Sacandaga Elementary School in the Scotia Glenville District. In Allplaus, we will construct a sidewalk on Allplaus Avenue to connect the hamlet to the Glencliff School in the Niskayuna District. And on Lake Hill Road in Burnt Hills, Boston Lake School District, we will connect the middle school to the high school along Lake Hill Road. This is important. This is a huge step forward for the town of Glenville. This is an important safety issue for our students and our families across 3 districts. I have heard for years that each of these sidewalks have been pursued for over 30 years and nobody was able to ever get them done. As long as the state funding stays in place and the county does their engineering study on the Yawclaws Avenue sidewalk, we will get it done this year. I am proud that the town conceived a solution to these problems and finally was able to deliver on these important projects. Also important, I allocated in this budget $150,000 of capital reserves for a second straight year to augment our annual highway paving program, with the goal of completing paving in the Glen Oaks neighborhood and Indian Hill neighborhood as well. We allocated an additional $150,000 in 2020 to finally complete the Scotchbush area. That would not have been possible, and neither would the money allocated for Glen Oaks and Indian Hills without the careful budgeting that allows us to protect our fund balance. That has allowed us to dedicate funds to our capital improvements like this. And I'm proud that I was able to deliver this extra funding in each of my 2 recent budgets. And lastly, internet access in rural areas is just too important today. Our residents on the west part of town and in other rural areas deserve equal access to high-speed internet for school, work, commerce, and telemedicine. The state needs to deregulate, and they need to invest in the deployment of this 21st century infrastructure. I will continue to work with the state representatives and Spectrum on this, and I have already signed an agreement for deployment of 5G, the 5G network across the town of Glenville that will begin this year and help bring high-speed internet to those areas. Rural access to high-speed internet service is critical, and it's one of my top priorities of 2021. Now, I want to say, we have accomplished much over the many years that we've worked together. Being your supervisor has been a great honor for me. It's a full-time commitment that requires a full-time focus and a dedication that we need now more than ever. It is going to be experience and leadership that we need to continue to get us through this pandemic in 2021. 12 years ago, I pledged to you that we were going to expand our tax base, and some folks said it can't be done. I said we were going to grow our commercial corridors, and I was again told that can't be done. Lower the cost of government and protect our taxpayers, and they said that wasn't going to be done. Yet we have moved this town forward, and we have made Glenville a better, stronger, and more vibrant community because of our work together. We're not done yet. This year we'll build on that progress, and through our continued work together, I truly believe that all of the best is still ahead of this town. I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to me, and I would like to now, as I end my comments, turn to the questions and try to answer as many questions as I can.